Welcome to vlog number 80. This has been a week of focusing on the model railway and also doing a few other bits and pieces around various other projects I've got going on. I've managed to make a start on the Encounter 10x10, though I'm struggling with it based on my abilities more than anything. But I'm going to do my best. I've got another week to go on that, and I feel like maybe I've broken the back of it, but we shall see. I have done a few other projects, as I say, and I've also been in the background working on the Battle Games Middle Earth build, which I'm having a lot of fun with, which will be coming out at the beginning of June. So yeah, I will not ramble anymore. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to comment if you have anything to say, and I always love to hear from you. And reading your comments is really inspiring, so thank you for if you do that. And other than that, I will see you again at the end of this video. Next thing for me to think about and do on this is the bridge. So I've just been stood here for a little bit, fiddling around with little bits of foam and foam card, and I think I've got something worked out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of this black foam to do the bridge, actual bridge bed, and it's going to come off from here, and it's actually going to slope slightly downwards, and it's going to go down to this white foam here, which is going to act as the support. So this is going to be roughly where the bridge is, and the foam and the white foam will be roughly there. As you can see, there's plenty of clearance. I've put the little train underneath, and what I'll do is I'll put some sides on this and then stick it in place, and that's what I'm going to do this evening. So I'm going to get that done and get the white foam cut, the black foam cut, and get it stuck in place and weighted down, because then tomorrow I can come along with the modelling compound and I can finish off the rest of this. I've done loads of modelling compound without filming, just because it's, you know, you've seen it all, but it goes all the way around the back now, and I've done all of this side, apart from I can't do here because I'm not totally sure what I was going to do with the bridge. So yeah, so I'm going to get this cut now. I've got an idea of what it will look like, and I'm probably going to just paint that. I'm going to hand score some bricks in, but I'll bring you along. I'll show you what I've done with that when I get it done. The other thing that I have been working on today a little bit is actually I've got the rest of the fences painted of the first pack, so there's a bunch more fences there ready to be fitted as well, and as you can see I've started mocking out where they're going to go. But again, I need this bridge done before I can really start working, finish off the modelling compound and then start working on doing the rest of the texture and then get the static grass out. But yeah, so let's get this bridge made. Okay, so I've printed out 2 more wings as you can see, and now I think I'm ready to stick these on. Now I think I probably should have mirrored the printing. I've just realised I didn't, which is a little bit annoying, so I'll have one upside down and one the right way up, but I'm not going to print them again for that because I'll forget myself within 20 minutes, and Rosie will never spot that either. So I'm not going to film all of this because I'm going to be sat here holding it. I do have some super glue accelerant up there, which I may even get because I don't want to sit here holding it for ages either. But there we are. So you can see I stuck the legs on, stuck the antenna on. It looks really, really good. I'm very, very pleased with it. Rosie's going to absolutely love it. And yeah, get these wings glued on, and then I'm going to think about putting it onto a base because it's going to be too delicate if I had a handle, so it's going to need to be mounted on the wall. So I'm going to think about a base, but I have no idea what to do yet, so that could take a little while. So there we are, happy with how these have turned out. They're certainly a lot better than they were before I put the basing on, and that's finished them off nicely. I think this might be something I try and do a little bit more of, actually, just going into my pile of SPG miniatures and finishing things off, because it's all well and good starting lots of new projects, isn't it? But it's also really good to finish them. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go and pop them back now in the display case, and I'll be less embarrassed to bring them out the next time they want to be played with, because yeah, just black paces is rubbish, isn't it? So I've glued this and weighted this down, so leave this overnight now, and then I'll come along and finish off the scenicking for it. Underneath there is the black foam. You can just see it poking out here at the end. I'm going to do a very, very simple bridge here. I might even carve it to look like wood. I'm not sure, maybe, maybe not. But I'm going to leave that to dry and then I'll decide tomorrow. But there we are, that's the next step of this done, which is really, really cool. Okay, so what's going to happen now is I need to do the brickwork on the inside of the removable tunnel. So I've rolled out some of the air drying clay, and what I'm now going to do is come along with the same green stuff weld roller, roll that texture in, and then glue it to this section of the foam, and then I can come in and paint it and do the same. So there we are. Spread some glue on, and then carefully pick this up. Carefully being the operative word. I've rolled it very thin, maybe too thin. If this doesn't work, I may have to roller it out again. Just being gentle with it. There's a bit of a tear in it, but that should be okay. This is going to be inside the tunnel. It just needs to give the correct impression that there's bricks there rather than white foam. There we are, that's big enough. So what I'll do now is I'll come along with my cutting tool and trim that off, and then leave that to dry and then paint it and what have you. So yeah, cool, there we are, next step done. So I've worked out what I'm going to do for the bridge, but the first thing I need to do is scar it up with my with this metal scraper, which I should have done before I stuck it in place. So I'll just quickly get that done. Won't sound very nice. Yeah, I should have done that before sticking it down because it would also have helped the adhesion, but it's been all right. So what I've done is I've got my roller out again and my air dry clay, which I'm really loving on this build. It's proven to be a really good solution for a lot of these issues that I'm having. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some PVA on, as I always do, to stick the clay to the base. As I say many, many times, just remember, clay is not itself adhesive. So once we've got some PVA on there, maybe it's a little bit too much, you can scrape some off, it'll dry. I have got my green stuff roller out, and I have done cobblestones, which is what I've decided I want to do. So I'm going to stick the cobblestones onto the bridge, and when that's dry, then I will be able to come along and put the sides on and put the rest of the scenic round it, and kind of blend it in a bit. So yeah, I will trim that off with my cutter tool, which I've left in room 13 because I'm forgetful, and then let that to dry as well, and that will look really nice, I think. So it'll come from a dirt track to a little cobblestone bridge and then dirt again here. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that idea. So here we are. Here is the traditional starting array. The item this month is a toothbrush. So here is one of the toothbrushes I use for cleaning miniatures. So the materials I've got is air dry clay. I've got some matchsticks with no sulphur, and here is my 10x10 base, which is what I normally use on these. So the idea I have, and this could fail dramatically, and it might be that I use wire, to be honest, rather than wood. But the idea I have is to build the walls of Troy at one end of this, maybe at an angle, I'm not sure, and have a plane with maybe some bodies on it, some dead bodies or what have you, which I will also try to sculpt, but then have a sculpted wooden horse, and that I'm considering, I think I'm going to use maybe a metal armature or something like that. I was thinking about these for that, but that may not work very well. And then use air dry clay because I'm most confident with that, and I'm not massively confident with using sculpting materials really for this sort of thing. I find that it's very sticky and it goes off very fast, whereas with the air dry clay you've got some time to make the wooden horse. So that's going to be the big challenge, is to design that. And I want to do this again tiny scale, so I think the wooden horse is going to be maybe 20 mil, 25 mil at the most, about that. The walls will be about maybe about 40mm high. So I'll probably do those out of air dry clay as well. I think there's going to be quite a lot of air dry clay in this build, which is cool because it's a fun material to use, and I'm using it more and more. So I'm going to sit down with a bit of wire and attempt to start on the horse. I will bring you along for various updates, but this is so new to me that I think that running the camera while I'm doing it will both put me off, distract me, and stress me a little bit, and I want this to look really nice. I am judging this month's, and so I'm not actually going to be entered, but I don't care. I want it to look good, and it's going to be a really nice build to do, and it'll look great on the display. So I will give you regular updates on this sculpting of the horse. The rest of it's pretty standard, so I will do my normal footage. But yeah, let's get making. Ever since the last time I reorganised my paints, I've not liked it. I did them wrong. I followed the wrong ordering, and I could never find what I wanted to, which meant that I ended up with a massive pile of paints that were just ones I always used that kind of sat just kind of over there on the edge of my painting bench. So this evening, after my 20-minute painting, I decided to bite the bullet with a task which I thought was going to take me ages, and didn't take me half as long as I thought it would. And I have reorganised my paints back into the original order, and I'm much happier. I know where everything is now. As I was putting them back, I was like, oh, I remember that one going there. I have also bought more paints since the last time I had these organised, so there's a few that have moved along just because I've had to make space, but it's just nice to have them in an order which is a bit more familiar. And of course now, just down here, I have my contrast paints, which I never used to have, and then I've got my Citadel washes here. So everything is really easily to hand. Where your perspective is from is basically where I sit. So you can see my main paints are right in front of me, and then the more esoteric different ones over here, and different brands of the pigments, Life Colour and Vallejo pigments, some Green Stuff World glow in the dark pigments, and some Life Colour metallics are over there, which I use very much less. So yeah, pretty happy with that. That was a nice thing to do at the end of the day. And now, as you can see, a nice clean bench as well. I've tidied away lots of like scattered dead projects, so it's just going to be a nicer place for me to come down to tomorrow in my 20 minutes and crack on. So just now, this evening, it's Wednesday evening I think, I have just finished doing this batch of the modelling compound, going up there past and up to that corner. So that's all that I'm going to do for now. The next thing to do is going to be painting on the colour, so that grout colour, which I'll do probably tomorrow, hopefully if I get time, get all of that covered over, and also paint up the bridge. As you can see, that's in nicely now. Going to paint that grey. So yeah, and then I'll be able to start doing flocking, which is really cool, because then I can do the fences and hedges, and then it's done. So this little thing of just trying to get out here a bit more and doing a little bit, not huge amounts, but just a small amount very regularly, is really, really working, and I'm making some really good progress now, which is awesome. So I've got these all primed up, and I'm actually going to be painting these in my 20-minute sessions in the evenings so that I get them done. So what you can see here with the Allied and the Axis, and I've brought down the cards so I have some little ideas of how to paint them. I actually have RAF camouflages from AK Interactive, which is I bought ages ago, haven't used, and so that's going to be what I'll paint the Allies with. The Axis, I don't have any specific colours labelled like that, which is a shame, because I prefer that, but I think I should be able to get away with what I've got. I should better work out what things are. Certainly making use of these cards, which have such fantastic artwork on them. So I'm not going to film while I paint, that's not the point, but what I will do is give a little bit of an idea of what I've used, in case you're interested and want to reproduce what I do, if you think what I do is good enough. But anyway, I'm going to put my timer on and spend the next 20 minutes or so and see how much of this I can get done. So, last couple of days I've done a little bit at a time, and now I've got to the point where all of the modelling compound is down that I want to do on this stage. Now I did stop a little bit before I was planning over here because I'm considering putting a house here just to add a little bit more interest. But what I'm going to do now, I've got my grout mix, which there is a link in the description below to how I do that, but it is basically grout with a bit of sand that I pick up in my back garden, quite a lot of PVA actually, and then just a dash of water, and that is now going to be painted on over the entirety of this area, so from where I'm stood here all the way around to over there. So I'm going to get that done. I'll pop some music on and speed it up massively, so hopefully it might be a long clip, but I thought it'd be quite nice to see it develop. So I'll get this mixed and then start painting. The delivery fairy, otherwise known as the courier, arrived again this week and brought a few cool bits which I've been looking forward to. So just to quickly show you them, I'll probably go into more detail, particularly in this box in a different video. First of all, I have ordered myself a pantograph, and this is for the Solomon Kane project, the big Solomon Kane project that I'm going to be starting at some point soon when I get time. Anyway, I needed one for what I want to do. I need to enlarge things accurately, so this is what you need for that. So I bought that just from Amazon. I also have had an order in with Green Stuff World for another free colour wheel. I've got some UV resin, which I'm going to make use of on some projects I've got coming up. I wanted to try it out. A couple more rollers, though I do actually think that I already had these, and I think I've made a mistake ordering them, so they may go into maybe into a prize or something. If I ever do that, I probably won't use those. But the thing that I was most interested in getting was these. So the colour shift and holographic, and the reason why I wanted to get these is because I've printed out this fairy, which will be for Rosie, obviously. We'll be going in the garden, probably near her fairy house that she absolutely loves, and I'm going to be painting this up, and I wanted to do colour shift paints, so I'm going to use the colour shift to paint that, and that will be another project upcoming. And then this is the Cthulhu Investigators Kickstarter from Kazrak Studios. They're the guys that do the game I love so much, which is Sabre and Blood. And they did a Kickstarter for some resin miniatures for kind of Cthulhu or steampunk type semi-modern. And they are really cool. There are some awesome ones. I think this is probably my favourite. As I say, I'll do a proper unboxing video of this and put that out very soon. But I just really love. They're not just like holding guns and shooting stuff. Here's someone who is reading a book, and that is something you don't see often in miniatures, and that's why I went for them. So I'll do a proper unboxing video of that. So there we are. The delivery fairy brought me lots of cool stuff, and I'm really looking forward to particularly getting into this project. I've been waiting for a little while to start the fairy, so now I can. Made a little bit more progress this week on some terrain for Moonstone and any other fantasy type things. So we've got this kind of weird spore tree. A lot of fun painting that. This is actually supposed to be a portal, but that was a bit too weird, so I've painted up as basically a section of wall with an old gnarled tree grown over it, and then this here is a tree house, literally a tree house, which has been a lot of fun to paint as well. You can see that it's sitting on a base. I used Luke's quick basing for that. Quite quick paint jobs. I didn't want to take too long on this, so I used a bit of contrast paint for those, and then detailed it a little bit with some normal paints. But these will look good on the tabletop. They'll just add that a little bit of cover that you need. It's not a massive cover game, so these kinds of smaller scattered terrain items are perfect for Moonstone. So yeah, pretty happy with how these have come out, and I've got a few more things to finish off, and then I should have enough to maybe actually give the game a go. The next step is to do the walls that are going to go along the edge of the little road bridge. And how I'm going to do this, I've had a couple of thoughts. I think this is the one that's going to win. Is I've got some cardboard, just pizza box that I've cut up, and I've got that to the right height that I want and to the correct length. So it's going to be quite a high wall, I think. I might cut it down, I might reduce the height of that, but the technique that I'm going to use is making use of a very small cobblestone roller, and basically I will roller this out. There we are. And then that, if I can pull it up without destroying it, because I've done it very thin deliberately. There we are. Then that can be glued to one side, and then I can do the same on the other side, and then I'll be able to stick that down in place in situ on the actual layout, and then it will look like a stone wall. So that's my idea, and I might end up putting some small capstones on top as well. So I'm going to make sure that I have the correct dimensions. Having looked at that, I think it might just be a little bit too tall, so I'm going to sit that next to a car and check it out. I'll get one of these done, and then I'll bring you along and show you how I'm going to actually make sure that this stays on the layout. So here we are over at the layout, and you can see that what I've done is I've folded over the top, and I've put a bead of PVA along the side of the bridge, and that now will secure itself fine. And what I'll be doing after this, when this is dry, is painting this, and that will also add an element of security. But this is one of the times where when you're making something for a model railway, as opposed to wargaming, you can afford to be a little more casual with how secure you think things are going to be. So that's going to work really nicely. I'm very, very pleased with that idea. So what I'll do now is I'll get the other side done, and then let that go off overnight or for the next couple of days until I come to paint it. One other task that I'm going to be doing ongoing over the next week or so, it's going to take quite a long time, is I need to paint the sleepers because they're black and that's not correct. They need to be wood coloured. So what I'm going to do probably is I will be using I'll probably undercoat them or prime them in grey, and then come along with Vallejo wood colour and paint them up. I'll come back with an update once I've done a bit of it at least, and see what it looks like and show you that. But for now, that's just going to be an ongoing thing, which I won't really bring up in videos because it's just going to take quite a long time to actually get done. So there's no point in here I am painting again sort of thing. So that's going to be ongoing. I'm now pretty much halfway through this challenge for the encounter terrain, and I have got nowhere. So my attempt at trying to do a wireframe has just failed. I'm just not competent enough at the moment. Maybe I will at one day, who knows. I would love to be, but yeah, I mean, I've got myself a little metal square here, but that's about all I've managed to do. I'm quite proud of it. It's a very nice metal square, but no. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of balsa wood and wood. I just think that's probably going to end up being the best way for me to work it, and the best way for me to produce something which is going to suit what I'm trying to do. I also have these little beads which I can use as for the wheels. So here we have a thin sheet of balsa, and what I've done is I've worked out rough dimensions, which is basically about 4 centimetres, 40 millimetres in this dimension, and about 2 or 2.5, depending on which of these I do in the other dimension. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that out, and then glue on the legs, and then make the body out of some dowel. And what I've got is this here, which is a load of offcuts that I've saved from various projects. So you can see here we've got the dowel, which looks like it'll be just good for doing the body, and I've got other dowels I can do. And what I probably will end up doing is doing a little bit of sculpting just to kind of like build the shape, but it's going to be it's going to obviously be the Trojan horse, but it's going to be built on a wooden basis. So I'm going to cut this out and I'll bring you along when I've got something to show you. But this is such a, I'm really like discovering the limits of my crafting abilities here. So yeah, so I'll continue to not run the camera as much as I normally do, but I will show you what it looks like and explain to you how I've achieved things. Right then, that's much more successful. So what I've done is I've taken the dowel that I pointed out and carved it and cut it, and what we have here is a horse body and the neck and head. So what I'm going to do is glue this together, and then I will probably do the legs as well. Now I might do the legs with matchsticks. I might do them with more of the balsa wood, but once I've got this glued, I'm going to leave it to go off fully because I don't want to damage this, and then when I've done the legs, then I'll make use of some potentially green stuff, but probably we'll just use milliput to craft in around the neck. As you can see, there's a bit of a gap, but it's still going to be quite nice, and also put the rest of the face on. So I'll bring you back when I've done the legs and when I'm about to start doing that crafting, but that's probably going to be me for tonight. Once I've stuck this together and put the legs on, I want it to be completely off before I start doing any kind of sculpting. But at least I've got a start, which is more than I had and more than I thought I'd do. I was very close to giving up on this one. So this is dried nicely now. So what I'm going to do is come along with some black paint and paint the cobbles and the walls black. I'm doing this before I do the actual roadway, because then I can cover up any mistakes I make on the black with the white grout. So what I'll be doing is I'll be painting this on, letting it to dry, and then coming along and dry brushing with grey and various other colours. But this will take a little while to dry, so I may not get to this tonight. You may also be able to see underneath that I have started the process of priming the tracks. I did a little bit of that today, and I'll keep on with that process, and then once they're all primed, then I'll come along with the wood colour that I'm going to use and paint the tracks. A couple of these itty bitty tasks that have appeared out of nowhere and are now kind of slowing me down a bit. I was really hoping that I would get the static grassing done this evening, this being Saturday night, but that's just not going to happen. That's just fine. Just carrying on. I mean, I want the thing to be right, so I'm a little bit behind my aim, but because I've done other things rather than because I haven't worked on it, so that's fine. So I'll get this painted up and dry brushed, and I'll bring you along for the next step when I get to it. Probably will be the static grassing the next thing I film, because everything else is just going to be kind of like getting things done that are half done now. So yeah, happy with how this bridge has turned out though. I think it looks really, really nice. So I did a little bit of a stupid, and I left the lid off my air dry clay box, which has meant that fortunately a lot of it was wrapped up, but I have actually wasted a fair bit. So I'm just going to try to make use of the clay that you see here. Now here is the Trojan horse, and I did show this on the on the group, and after some jokes about what have I made, have you made a chair, which were quite funny. Fortunately people have recognised it, which is nice. Maybe it's not so terrible as I thought. So as I sit down, what I've realised I need to do is I actually need to go and get the PVA, because as I keep on saying, clay is not adhesive, so I'm going to need to put a little bit of PVA over the wood before I start to mould the clay over it. And I am going to use clay on this as opposed to anything else, just because that's what I intended initially, and I'm going to stick with that. So yeah, so I'm going to basically sculpt around this with air dry clay, and when that's dry, they'll gone off, then I will glue this to the wooden base, and then I'm thinking I might actually stick thin strips of paper as the to do like the really funky wooden effect of all the slats and what have you. But I'm going to bulk it out and fill in the gaps and what have you with the air dry clay. So I will pop some music on and you can watch. I'll be back with some PVA and I will just turn the mic off and put some music on and you can watch how I do this sculpting. So I've basically finished painting him. I might do a few more touch-ups, but I'm happy enough now. This evening I just finished the eyes, glowing amber. I'm pretty pleased with how that looks, I think. Certainly other people have done better jobs than I have, but I am who I am and what I am, and therefore I'm very pleased with how this looks. So what I'm going to work on now, I obviously have to do the hobbits, Merry and Pippin. I have both the mounts and the dismounts, if you want to look at it that way, but I also have the base to do. So I'll get started on that next and let you know what I do. This is a mix of contrast paints, washes, and also just normal paints. So I haven't only done it in contrast, I haven't only done it in washes, I've done it in a mix. And like I say, I'm pretty happy with how it looks. I really like the variation I've achieved, and I particularly like his eyes. The more I've looked at this particular scatter piece from Moonstone, the more I've realised that it needed something just to lift it. So I've made use of Luke's APS, now Geek Gaming's Scrubland base ready, and also this kind of funky scrapey stuff. I think it's used for plastering, but I find it really good for this kind of thing. And I've just put the base ready around the bottom and then tucked some of that into this gap here, and I think that just adds and raises, adds a little bit of interest and raises it just a little bit where before it was a bit bland, and I'm happy with that now. So there we are, just a little bit of detailing, and I think that really does improve the whole look of the piece. Well, there we are, another week done, and another load more projects progressed. As I said at the intro, the main thrust this week has been getting that model railway work underway, and really pleased with the progress. Though I didn't actually hit the target I set for myself, is because other tasks came up that I hadn't thought through, hadn't realised I'd need to do first. So yeah, still cracking on, still making progress, still a little bit more every day. I've even done something more this morning, Sunday morning, before I filmed this. I've worked a little bit more on the bridge. So yeah, just tiny bits, and it'll get there sooner rather than later, and that's what matters. And Rosie still loves looking at it. She knows where Poppy and Sam lives, and whenever she walks past, she has to see the choo-choo, and loves it. So that makes all the difference to me. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, I really do appreciate it. I really appreciate all the support and encouragement that you guys give me in the comments below. Don't forget to comment if you have something to say. I'd love to hear from you, positive or negative. Let me know what you think of the video. If it's inspired you, or if you think I'm rubbish, just let me know. I'd love to hear it. And yeah, any comments I've always replied to. So I'll wrap up by saying, as I always do, please stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.